Today, I'm talking to one of Cal's all-time great DBs, Thomas DeCoud. We'll be talking about Burl Toller, Peter Sermon, Billy Musgrave, because he's got a connection with all of them. And we'll be talking about Cal. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Ultimate Insider, Bear Insiders podcast. I'm Mike Pawlawski, former Cal quarterback, member of the Hall of Fame, and radio analyst for Cal football. Today, I'm talking to one of Cal's all-time great DBs, Thomas DeCoud. He didn't just bring talent to the field, which he did early on in his career. Jeff Tedford kept telling me, wait till you see this kid. Wait till you see this kid. So he was a star as a defensive back for Cal, starting as a corner, ending up as a safety. Went on to play 7 years in the NFL, but he also brought personality. One of those dudes that we always love to talk to on the radio. I know him from working with young, promising athletes out here in the East Bay. I've been around him a lot. I've coached with him, enjoy his company, and proud to call him a brother as a Golden Bear. But right now, let's get to my interview with Thomas DeCoud, one of Cal's great DBs. Well, joining me now is one of my all-time favorite Cal DBs, which says a lot because, quarterbacks and DBs don't generally get along. But my boy Thomas DeCoud here. And TD, welcome to the Bear Insider, Ultimate Insider podcast. First and foremost, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me, Mike. I'm happy to be here. Happy to be on Bear Insider. Go Bears, roll on.
There we go. And you were one of those dudes when you were at Cal. I harken back to your days when you were playing for the Golden Bears, who always had personality. Like as a radio guy, we'd love to have you on with us, the opportunity to speak with you. There's certain guys you just love to get back on because you bring personality. You bring your A game to the show every single time. Talk about your experiences at Cal and what that was like, because Cal is a place with pretty smart dudes. You as a smart dude kind of stood out amongst those.
Yeah, it was one of those things where, I grew up where academics was something that wasn't played with in my household, but my father was an ex-Marine. My mother worked for the city of Berkeley. So, I couldn't go to practice unless my homework was at least 80% done, 75% done. And then if I didn't pull in at least a 3.0 or higher, I wasn't on the team anymore. So I kind of had the foundation set for me before I went to Cal. And then, coming up through high school, like me and my buddies, we would go to practice and then come straight home and then hop right on the phone and do all our homework since we had all the same classes in like middle school and even high school. So, I kind of set the precedent. And then, once I got to Cal, I already knew how to study. I already knew how to get my work done. So it paid dividends in that end, and it allowed me to have, a lot more fun while I was there. Because, I was able to, handle my academics. I walked before my eligibility was up. So that last year at Cal, I'll see y'all at the stadium while y'all going to class. I'm sitting playing Xbox 360 in the apartment. So, I was definitely blessed in that sense to, have a good have the foundation set at home before I got there, so it wasn't so much of a shell shock. But again, like once I got to Cal, like I said, I was already used to the academic switch wasn't as hard. And then it was easy because, the team had so much chemistry, right? There were small cliques, but everybody got along outside of their little cliques. You live with your roommates here, or these guys hang out, the O-linemen may hang out, a lot of the DBs may hang out. But if we saw each other at Bears Lair or Kips down on Durant, it was all good. Everybody, everybody's having fun. So I still tell kids that I coach and train now about how those teams at Cal, like those 4.5 years I was at Cal, the best teams I've ever played on any level, just in terms of the chemistry, how guys got along, the fun that we had in the locker room, even with the coaches. Like Coach Tedford he was an offensive coach, but he was a player's coach at the same time. But he kind of handed the reins over to Coach Gregory, who was the D coordinator at the time, and he kind of took the reins of the offense, which was hey, offense puts butts in the seats, but defense wins championships, like the old cliches goes. But yeah, it was fun though. Like he threw us a bone every time he could. They were saying you got to throw your dog a bone every once in a while. He kept throwing us bones just to keep us into it and team morale up. So I was definitely blessed to land at Cal.
Well, that's pretty awesome. And one of the things that you find about like those great teams, the championship teams, the teams that do really well, is that they have that cohesion, right? The guys that all get along. Talk about some of your teammates when you were there, the guys that you remember most.
Oh yeah.
And I know that's an unfair question, right? Because we want to name all of our teammates, but I'm just going to hit some of the highlights. So how about some of the guys that the fans would remember most?
Yeah, this would be a 4-hour podcast.
Right.
I would say probably in the DB room, Tim Mixon and Donnie McCleskey. They really,
right there.
Yeah, they were dogs. They really set the tone for what I would say being a DB at Cal was in that era. You know what I'm saying? So we had Coach J.D. Williams, who went to 4 Pro Bowls with the Buffalo Bills. So that mentality that he instilled in us, that was a little bit of a shell shock for me as a freshman, just because, you know, my shit didn't stink in high school. So I'm used to just, you know, strolling on campus. Me and Mr. Cool, a little bit Mr. Cool. You're like, yo, high school freshmen who did well usually don't think their shit stinks. So then, but he wasn't having none of that. He was like, I'm going to break you down before I build you up. And he did that. But I mean, I'm thankful to this day for him doing that, for sure. So it was you know, like and Donnie and Tim, they were bought and sold on that mentality. Like, hey, we're gonna go out here and compete. I don't care who they are. I don't care if they're number 1 USC or number 3 Alabama or whatever. I don't even think Alabama was good at that point in time. But you know, we're gonna go out there and fight and compete no matter what the odds are. So those 2 guys, and then, you know, guys like Burrow Toller, you know, I called him he was my older brother on the team. Like, so he was, you know, going into his junior year. So we played 2 years together, 03 and 04. So but yeah, he definitely took me under his wing. Me and his younger brother Cameron, we were roommates all the way up until I graduated. His brother was in my wedding, so we're pretty much extended family. So guys like Burrow, even, you know, Garrett Cross, we were towards the end. So we played 2 years together, but he lived in the same apartment building that we kind of at Cal. All the football players bought apartments in one complex, so we pretty much bought out the whole complex. So it was like the unofficial football dorm. Like there was 5 units, and all 5 units had football players in them. So it was pretty interesting. It was on 66 and Telegraph. If anybody, you know, was at Cal from 03 to 07, they might have heard of 66 and Telegraph. So.
Oh yeah, I was just down the street from there. I was on 66 and Shattuck when I was there, right by the Till 2 Lounge and Flint's Barbecue. So we were, you know, right there on the corner.
Isn't there like something called the lunar something about the moon? It's like a lounge or a bar or something.
Yeah,
like
so I think that when I was there, it was the Till 2 Lounge. I think it became the new one that you're talking about. Yeah,
like lunar something or something to do with the moon or some crap. Yep. But yeah,
absolutely.
But yeah, who else? There's a lot of guys. I mean, there was when going back and thinking about it, there was a lot of talent that went through Cal. Maybe not everybody went to the NFL or played several years, but they were damn good college football players. So like, you know, Justin Forsett, you know, we would see each other playing throughout the league, but we would, you know, always keep it close as a family, you know, and just making sure that he was another guy that when he showed up to Cal, like our personalities clicked. He's a jokester. He likes to have fun. Now, obviously, you guys keep up with Justin, so it was a kind of 2 peas in a pod kind of thing. Because as you know, we coached together at Cal High. If I'm not making jokes at practice, you know something's wrong with me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly right. Your personality. You lead with personality.
Yeah, if I'm not making guys laugh or keeping the energy going in practice, you know something's up with me. So, you know, it's just guys like that match that kind of energy that, you know, it made it easy for me to choose to go to Cal. Because I mean, in my junior year, I think that's when Homo was still there, where they were like 1-10, 1-9 or something. So I'm getting the letters from Cal. I'm like, man, I'm not going to Cal.
Right.
Then so I you know, do my due diligence. I take my trips. I go to Cal first, and I'm just like, I didn't give a damn about the facilities, but I was like, because I hadn't gone and seen UW or Oregon yet, so I didn't have any kind of frame of reference. So when I went to Cal, I was just going just straight off a vibe and like, do I like these people that I'm going to be spending 4 or 5 years with? And then, I, like I said, met Donnie, Burrow, Tim, all the guys, all those guys in the DB room, and that were, kind of getting into their upperclassmen years. You know what I'm saying? So it was definitely a good thing to fall into.
That's one of the things, like, and just getting off the whole Cal subject for a while, but when it comes to recruiting, when I went to schools, like, facilities matter, and I guess that's a big deal these days, but I was more interested in the people, the dudes I was going to be spending time with in the locker room. And I was most impressed with the guys that I met at Cal, right? I went on recruiting trips to Utah, North Carolina State, Arizona. And when I went down to Arizona, it was a new coaching staff, so I got to give them a little bit of a break, but they didn't get me around any of the players. Like, I had my host and that was it. That's the only dude I met. When I went back to Utah, the guys that I met there, were like, oh, these coaches are lying to you. And so to me, it was more about the people than about the facilities. Everybody's got decent facilities in the Pac-12 now, but it was more about the people that you were meeting than it was about the facilities. And you just mentioned it with recruiting. That's what I don't understand these days. Like, kids that will turn around and go to Alabama, right? Okay, cool. You're going to Alabama. It's a good school. They play great football there, but you're also going to be with a bunch of kind of bloodthirsty, ruthless dudes who are there for a paycheck. And
you may not see the field till your senior year.
Right. And so the opportunity is not quite the same. So talk about that when it comes to recruiting. You work with a lot of high school age kids now. What are you telling these kids that you're working with kind of about that experience?
First off, like I said, when I started off, make sure your transcript is right, because these coaches that are coming to these schools, they don't care how many touchdowns you have if you can't get into school.
Right. The first question they always ask are, how are his grades? Period.
Yeah.
That's the showstopper. If your grades aren't good enough, that's where the conversation ends.
Yeah, all that prop whatever, that's out of the woodworks. Now, I'm not sure if it's officially, but people aren't going to be risking, $100,000, $120,000 scholarship for, rolling the dice. It's an investment. So yeah, I tell them that, make sure, you don't make it harder on yourself to get into school, or even for them to even want you to be in the, in the frame of their recruiting fence, I guess you could say. But also just don't get caught up in all the sparkles and the frills and the fireworks over here. And hey, come to this school, you can do this, and hit this here. Get the vibe. Make sure you like the head coach. Make sure you can get along with your position coach if you're going on trips. Make sure you get along with your D coordinator, because that's what's going to really put huge roadblocks in your career at college. You could be the best dude on the team, but if your coach hates your guts, you're probably not going to be on the field. Or if you guys just don't get along, you're always constantly butting heads, that's going to be a detriment to you being on the field. And even people are vengeful and vindictive. Even subconsciously, they may call plays that may keep you out of certain things. You know what I'm saying? So I know that's worst case scenario, but people are imperfect. Yeah, it has happened, and people are imperfect. So
yeah, no doubt about it. And that's the thing. I think Cal should always lead with personnel, right? They always have great. You have to have you have to hit a certain level, right, to be able to get into Cal, to be able to kind of to make it through Cal. And so leading with those people, those personalities, some of the greatest personalities I've met in sports were at Cal. And from there, you get the other guys that go to other schools like, say, West Virginia, places like that, where you're like, not quite as impressed with the resume. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. It's a certain pedigree that you have to achieve, not to pat ourselves on the back, but,
Yeah, I agree. So you talked a little bit about Burl Toller, and Burl is superstar coach at Cal right now, right? In his 7th season, I believe. Great with wide receivers. He's coaching his position, which is great, but he's also a phenomenal recruiter. Why do you think he recruits so well, and what leads to his success as a coach from what you saw as a player?
It goes back to that vibe thing that we keep talking about. He is an incredibly genuine and compassionate and caring person, genuinely. So when he goes on these recruiting visits and he's sitting down in people's living rooms, he's able to convey to the parents, like, you can trust your son with me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not sitting here trying to sell you. No, raise my hand. I'm not sitting here trying to sell you the dream like your son's going to be the next number one draft pick, this, that, and the third. We're going to help. I'm not sitting there in the room with him, but I'm what I would tell parents if I'm recruiting, like, your son's going to come here. We're going to, after 4 years or 4.5 years, he's going to come back to you a better man. You know what I'm saying? Or he's going to come here and learn this, and this. He's going to learn how to manage his own time. He's going to learn how to be able to connect and network and work with people who he would never have met under any other circumstance. And he's going to learn how to, fight through adversity. All those, different cliche sports teachers, and discipline and blah, 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 blah. But it's true. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of parents, like I said, they get mystified by the fireworks. My son's going to get drafted in this round and he's going to be the number one. He's blue chip 5-star already. So what are you going to do? No. We're investing in your son. So you have to trust us to give you back a better product. You know what I'm saying? So, and also you're getting a goddamn free education.
Right.
If they're in that boat. So you're getting 120K for free, and you're getting a better human when he comes back to you, theoretically, or that's what we want to do. But it's just, I can see that how genuine he is and how easy of a person he is to get along with really helps him in his recruiting. So it's no surprise to me that he's killing it in recruiting and also in coaching, because the kids also have to know that you care. If the guys that you're coaching, I don't care if they're 24, 16, 13, or 10, they have to, if during practice or during the games, they're like, coach don't care. Like, why do I have to give 100% if he don't even care? If he's not out here, if this is not the fun part of his day too, if he's not out here making it fun to be out here, like, man, what am I doing this for? It makes it hard to get up and play for a coach.
And he loved it when he played, right? He was a walk-on when he came to Cal in the first place. Yeah. And he's
earned a scholarship.
His dad played there, was a captain in '77. So Cal family all the way. He's one of those dudes when I come back around campus, I just I'll see him. It's a big smile. We'll walk across the room, to go greet each other. Just a good dude. And in the end of my playing career is when he was starting his playing career at Cal. Mm-hmm. And so I would be out there coaching him, throwing with him. He'd be catching routes for me when I came back out and worked out in the offseason. And so it's kind of a crossover for you and I, in that I was still playing when he was playing at Cal. And so he was catching passes from me back then. Just a great dude. And I can totally see why he has success in his recruiting. Oh, yeah. He's a superstar, right? There's the coach that Cal's going to have to hold on to in the near-term future, because he's a guy he bleeds blue and gold. He's all about Cal, but he's incredibly successful. So other schools are going to come gunning for him.
Because remember, Coach Gould made it through like 3 or 4 head coaches. Homo, Tedford. He did a couple years with Wilcox, so 3.
He did, yeah.
Or maybe a year or 2 with Wilcox. Maybe not. I might have made that up.
I don't remember if he was there with Wilcox. He was. I think he was gone with Sonny, but he was there for a long time.
Sonny Sonny was before Coach Wilcox. Yeah, but he made it through 3.
Yeah, so, and he was fantastic too. Boy, you want to talk about a dude who could recruit? Gould was. He's a baller. I mean, a fantastic dude. Just loved Ron Gould.
I would say Burrow kind of took that title. Like, once Coach Gould left, then Burrow was starting his coaching career at Cal. Yeah. So he was like, man, I would say, Coach Gould was an incredible recruiter, but I would say Burrow has a higher ceiling just because he can do it for longer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, and he's at his home, right? He's at home at Cal. Yeah, this is where backyard. He played ball, right? His picture's on the wall in a Cal jersey. I just think that makes a huge difference. I love it when dudes coach at their alma mater. Definitely. So we'll kind of move on from there. Since we're on coaches, let's talk about Billy Musgrave. You actually played in Atlanta when Billy was down there coaching for a little bit. Tell me about your experiences with him.
I love Coach Musgrave. It was, again, being on, like you said earlier, being either a quarterback's coach or offensive coordinator, and then me being a DB, it was kind of like a cat and mouse, kind of like I'm poking the bear kind of thing. Yo, what you got for me today, Muskie? You got some new, you didn't drew something up on the whiteboard in there? So it was that kind of playful banter. But also, Coach Musgrave, he's a goofy dude. Like he loves shooting the shit. giving each other shit and talking a good game. But Coach Musgrave he's also, like I said, he's a very playful, giddy type of dude, but he's also a very smart football coach in terms of being able to draw up schemes and even having a good idea of how, at least what I understood from him at Atlanta is how certain pass concepts work together and different things you can do off of that. That's what he was good. And that's one of the things that him and Matt were good at in Atlanta in the times where we were winning a lot of games.
You point out he's wicked smart. He is almost like on the spectrum smart, like that kind of guy when it comes to offense, the way he thinks about the game.
Mad scientist kind of, yeah.
Yeah, and so
I
enjoy
that mad scientist vibe.
Yeah, I enjoy talking to him, about football stuff, about plays, quarterback play, all that stuff, and kind of getting his take on it. It's just a little bit off center from the way that most quarterback coaches and offensive coordinators look at it. And he's a grinder. He loves to grind. He's in the film room all the time. He's all about it. But he also loves the game. That's the one difference. You played for Jeff Tedford. Jeff, he was grinding all the time too, but like he lived the grind. It was about the grind.
It was more about the grind. Yeah.
And doing that because that was his control issue on the game. Where I think Billy is like more playful about it when you go in his office, but he doesn't have to be a head coach either. So
and that's another thing. It's like being a head coach is almost a calling in and of itself. Like, because it's easy to handle 13 or 14, maybe 15 guys in a position room, or tell 4 or 5 position coaches how you want them to handle their 14 or 15 guys. But when you are making every decision outside of the front office for that football team, or the administration or front office for that football team, that's a daunting task in and of itself. Like you're spinning dozens of plates at the same time, and you got to keep them all spinning perfectly, or else you might be out of there after that season. So that head coaching is a monster that few of us are cut to slay, or are bred to slay that dragon. So
especially as a college coach, right? Because in the NFL you're about winning games, you're about player personnel, you're about salaries and who's worth what. And and you're about football, X's and O's. But in college, you're also about housing and parking and parents and, which dorm is available and classes and fundraising. Like there's so much that goes on for a college head coach that's on their plate for these guys to handle. And I think a lot of fans at home don't see that or even recognize it.
Yeah. Like you said, especially in college sports. Now there may be 15 plates for a pro coach, because they're all grown men at the end of the day. He's not as much worried about them once they leave the facility. But when you got 19 to 21-year-olds on your team, you're like, oh my God.
Yes. I'm in charge of children. Yes.
Yeah. Please don't let me get a call Sunday morning talking about this happened at the bar after the game. Like that, that type of thing. I mean, you still got to worry about that with guys in the NFL too, which is amazing to me. Because,
but at least you have a little more of a maturity factor. And some experience.
Exactly. You got some experience. You have a little bit of money. You're a more mature human being. But what's baffling to me is, especially guys in like my era, early millennials. Not, I was born in '85, so I'm right on the cusp of an early millennial. But all of us, especially the athletes, we grew up hearing, "Take care of your money. Get your do you get your grades right?" That actually was nailed into our head by every adult in our life. Like, go to school. You can't play football without going to school. You can't play boom. So it's amazing to me how after 18 years of hearing that, up until you got to college, you get through college, you do whatever you got, you get to the pros, and then you fuck it up. It's like, bro, you've been told for 22 years, every 5 minutes up until this point when you got the DUI or you did something stupid in Vegas, or I don't know, whatever, pick your poison. It's like, you've heard all of this. You've heard every day, every sit down you've had with every your little 3-on-3 basketball coach, and then your 5-on-5 basketball coach, and then your Pop Warner football coach told you this. Your freshman football coach told you, your varsity football coach told you all of this every year, and you still end up fucking it up. And that's what's baffling to me. It's like, bro, like, why is this statistic still a thing? Or 80% of all NFL or professional athletes are broke 5 years. Why is this even still a statistic when we've been told every year up until this point not to do this?
It's amazing.
That's really baffling to me.
My take on that, and it's a great point. Now we're getting into socio issues, right? But
right?
It's like so football players, like you said, they've been told every single day, every single way, manage, but they've always been managed. They never manage themselves. You're going to show up at this time, dressed, wearing this. You're going to do this. You're going to eat that. Like, they have been managed. They have been, parented and managed their entire career all the way through college. True. And then they get to the NFL and they get that check, boy. And Anthony Munoz. I had the great opportunity to play with Anthony Munoz when I was a rookie in Tampa. And he was just the best dude in the world. I know he's an SC guy, but he's just the best dude in the world. And he sat down and talked with me for an hour and a half, just impromptu. And he made a great point. He's like, the thing about getting an NFL check is it intensifies your personality. So if you're a good dude before you sign that NFL contract, you become a really good dude. And you get these guys, the Eli Mannings of the world, the Hardy Nickersons of the world that become the NFL player of the year because they're doing charity outreach and reaching back to people. And you get those dudes. But if you're an asshole before you sign that check, boy, you turn into a first-rate asshole. Yeah. I know a dude. I played with a dude, and I won't name him. But when he signed his NFL check, first-round pick, he decided he was going to buy 7 BMWs, same exact car, in different colors to show the world how rich he was.
What good does that do?
Besides the salesman, it doesn't do anybody any good. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, at all. It was, and the funny story about that, whereas it was my rookie year it was after my rookie year in Atlanta, and so I played mostly special teams my rookie year because we had Lawyer Malloy and Eric Coleman were the two safeties at the time. So Lawyer Malloy, Lawyer, he's 13-year at the time. He was a 13-year vet. He won Super Bowls with the Pats. Yeah, he was the dude. Like I was another guy. I was lucky to fall under his wing when I got to Atlanta. Him and Eric. But, I played special teams my rookie year, did my thing. So the next year I was, Lawyer went to Seattle. Yeah, Seattle. So, they moved Eric to strong safety. So I was, in the batter's box on deck, ready to take the starting spot. So that offseason, I go to train in Los Angeles at, Exos. So right, I'm getting. Oh no, it was Terrell Gaines performance gains. So I think he got several places now, but he was like one of the big trainers for guys in the offseason. So I'm down there in LA. I started to get a little bit of that money. That first offseason, that playoff check kicked in that we got for my rookie year. So I'm down there. I'm wanting to buy a car. I had leased a car during the season when I was playing in Atlanta. Like, all right, now I'm gonna get me something. I'm gonna treat myself. So I get a Mercedes S63. So like the S class is like their flagship car,
right?
And the 63 is like the souped up engine, like handcrafted engine.
Right.
The engineer signs your engine and all kind of stuff. And funny story, the engineer who built my car, his name was Thomas too. So that was funny. So I come back to OTAs, off-season activities, and John Abraham. I pull up. I park in the parking lot, player parking lot, at the same time as John Abraham. He's one of the best pass rushers to ever play, right? So we get out the car at the same time. I'm like, "Ooh, what's up, Rook?" I was like, "Man, what's up, Abe?" And he said, "Hey, I know people that been in the league longer than me ain't even got that car." I was just like, "Oh, was this a bad idea?" And I was like, "Uh-oh." Because Abe, he'd been in the league 15, 16 years, almost. By the time I left Atlanta, it was like 16, 17 years for him. So he'd been had money. So he'd be out doing whatever he wanted. I've been paid 10 years ago. I'm just stacking all this extra 10 years of playing is just the ice.
This stuff is all retirement now.
Exactly. I'm spending their money now. So he would be out there just, having his fun. So when he said that, I was just like, oh, I must be living well outside of my means when I bought this one. But luckily I only leased the car. So I got rid of it. But yeah, that was a little shell shock to the system. He was like, I know people played as long as me ain't got that car. I was like, oh,
yeah,
well.
Yeah, there's lessons in that, man. I remember I signed a trading card deal coming out of Cal, and like 2 weeks before I signed the deal, I was trying to scrape together change out of my ashtray so I could buy a peanut butter yogurt over at the frozen yogurt place, downtown on Durant, trying to scratch together to get a frozen yogurt. I signed the deal.
What is that place? I know it's right under Kips, right? That's
right under Kips. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out how to scrape together change to get a frozen yogurt. And all of a sudden I sign a, 6-figure trading card deal. It's like, what a weird world we live in. I always drove a Bronco though. I always drove a Bronco. That was my car like that. That's what I was going to do, period. I was good. Let's talk about your time in the league. What was that like for you? I mean, you come out of Cal, 3rd round pick, great college player. I love calling your games when you played at Cal. So, much love to you because I enjoyed it. But your time in the NFL, kind of talk about that learning curve about getting in the league and what that's like for a player.
Oh man, it was hilarious. So when I got drafted, we had kind of like it wasn't necessarily a rookie camp. It was just an extra camp for the whole team because it was that coaching staff's first year in Atlanta. So I'm getting there, and I'm taking the reps with the threes. All the rookies are usually taking reps with the 3rd group. Maybe even they have a 4th group going. But anyway, so I'm lining up, and then ball snapped, and it feels like everything is in fast forward. It's like, oh shit, what is going on? So that's practice or OTA practice. Then we get to training camp practice. Now dudes are trying to make the team. Like, not only are, we're trying to stay safe, trying to stay healthy, but people are trying to make a living at the same time. So people are really competing out there. So now it was at level 9, now we're at 11. So then we get into the first preseason game. And then I thought, okay, all right, I've got a little bit used to the speed. Okay, I'm making plays in practice. I can do this. The game's a little bit slowed down. I'm on kickoff. Or kickoff return on like opening kickoff, first preseason game. So they kick it off. I'm running back to get to my drop to my desk and turn around to get my block. And as I'm turning, the dude is running past me. I'm like, what the fuck are they doing out here? So the same game we played, it was the Chiefs, and the Chiefs weren't even good until Mahomes got there. So anyway, I'm on punt. So I'm running down. Then they have the vice on punt. So I'm trying to, get downfield and make force a fair catch, whatever, make the tackle. My first time I tried to get the release on the vice, and I tried to split them. They put 4 hands on me and carried me to the sideline. Just here, take your rookie, take him, get him a soda, get him a hot dog.
Here's your player back
right here. Yeah, here's your football player right here. Thank you. So it was, again, another shell shock. It was the speed of the game. And like, I realized quickly that it's obvious all of the best players in the NFL, all the best college players make it to the NFL, or you would think most of the best college players make it to the NFL. But then the best of those best actually make it on the field. And the best of those best actually stay on the field.
Right.
So it's
get
just
that
like,
second contract.
Exactly. I better get my shit together before I become a statistic, in the sense that at 3.5 and you're usually done. So
right. Well, I've told the story on the podcast.
It was a shell shock.
I've told the story on the podcast before, and I think I told you, but like, I showed up at Cal, and the first game that I dressed for, we're playing UOP, and Todd Powers was one of our fullbacks, right? And he comes out, and we're running, power I team. They give him a trap or a toss or something, and he's running down the near sideline right in front of me. And the DB from UOP comes full speed downhill, and these dudes meet right in front of me. Just this huge explosion right in front of me. And I look at this, like my eyes look like saucers, and I'm like, I can't play here. Like I can't play at this level.
This is not for me.
I can't do this. And it's funny how you adapt to that, right? Because at that point, I was certain I couldn't play in the Pac-10.
What am I doing here?
Right, not a chance.
Yeah.
But then by my senior year, I'm like, man, you guys can't play with me. You're not even close, right? Like that was it. And then the next level, same thing. You show up, you're like, oh, a lot of dudes. Like,
yeah.
But then you kind of adapt to that. I just think that's an amazing kind of personality trait for athletes that you have to have. The ability to overcome that initial sticker shock. What did I just buy to become the guy, you know?
Exactly. Yeah. No, it was fun though. It was like being that rookie year was like, I like that type of thing. I like being kind of out of my element and then adapting to it. Like I pride myself on being able to do that. So it was a good experience for me. Looking back, whether it may have been nerve wracking or aggravating or even, you know, kind of depressing at times, having to deal with certain ups and downs. I revel in that fact. I'm glad that I went through that, just because, you know, what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. You know, all these old cliches, but I definitely I wouldn't have it any other way, for sure.
Yeah, it's all. I mean, it's a life-changing experience, right? To be able to get through that, to master it up, to then kind of take control back over your environment, and then excel at whatever level you're at is pretty amazing. Definitely. Accomplishment. We're getting kind of closer, getting a little long, but let's talk about Cal's defense. You know, Peter Sirmon, defensive coordinator, Justin Wilcox, obviously those guys, former teammates, good friends, working together on Cal's defense. Tell me your impressions of Cal's defense, kind of your thoughts on it, maybe some of the dudes that you like if you've watched a lot of Cal football this year.
Yeah, I would say that's one of the things that have been our strength at times, but has also been our Achilles heel at times. It's just in big games, there are some big games where we find a way to stop guys. We can play well, we can keep them out of the end zone. But I would say it's kind of a pattern that we kind of had at Cal when I was there. Whereas in some games, you know, Aaron and them, or even Steve Levy, he was one of my roommates too at Cal. Yeah. Where they're playing lights out on offense. But we just, you know, we can't win on third down. We can't stop, you know, they're kicking our ass on first down, which means they're going to have an easy third down. So it's just kind of that same kind of pattern that I see when I do watch games. Is there's some games where offense is clicking, boom, boom, boom. Defense, they got a couple extended drives. You know, we may have gave up a big play here or there. So it's just, I don't want to say it's the Cal way of playing defense, but it's just a pattern that I've seen over the course of the years. Because even when Sonny was there, it was the same kind of pattern. Sometimes offense isn't really clicking, but defense, we're gonna hold them down. But then when both sides are clicking, we're kicking people's ass. But then one is just finding out, okay, I hope everybody shows up today so we can find that good balance. It's just a pattern that I've noticed throughout being at Cal and then not being there for the past 15 years. Yeah.
Isn't it crazy how it sneaks up on you?
Yeah, right.
Started 30. This is my Citrus Bowl 30th reunion last season.
Jesus. I hope I'm still kicking like you when I get to that level.
I'm kicking as much as I can, man, trying to fight it back. That's the truth, brother. Well, I appreciate you coming on today, man. I always love getting together and talking with you. Just one of my all-time favorite Cal guys. Just the personality alone and the energy that you bring to any conversation is awesome. So I appreciate you coming on.
No problem. Anytime you want me back, I'll be happy to help out. Happy to be on and talk some shit with you.
So you heard it from one of Cal's legends, Thomas DeCoud, a fantastic football player, a fantastic Golden Bear, and some insight on Burl Toller, Billy Musgrave, and Peter Sirmon, some of our current day coaches. I appreciate you watching. We'll be bringing you more podcasts coming up. But until then, I'm Mike Pawlawski, and go Bears.